Hello and welcome to the October edition of the Mixed Media Menagerie Challenge with Laura, Erin, and myself. We hope this month you'll grab some supplies and join us on our little mixed media, strange collection of things journey. So this month it was my turn to gather up a little surprise bundle of ephemera and other trinkets to leave on Erin and Laura's doorstep. These are the few little items I gathered for all of us to use in our journal pages for our October challenge. We're continuing to use our Dina Wakley Media Blue Edition journal, and these are a few of the other items that we were required to use, and then the media I gathered to meet our color challenge. The supply list is all at the beginning, along with what else I used and our requirements. So first I started off by cutting up some of the papers I included, the ledger page, the printed pages, and other items to collage on this first watercolor journal page. I did prep this page with gesso before adhering all of these bits and pieces of paper using matte medium on the front and the back. Basically, I'm just covering this entire page with the printed papers, the ledger papers, and eventually the washi tape. I'm hoping to create a little quilt, per se, of fun pages that I'm going to stencil on in a minute. The main color we chose to use this time was purple. I grabbed my Dina Wakley Media eggplant to start the process of adding some purple besides the printed pages to my journal page. I just added some simple dots. Then I grabbed ocean. I forgot to show that color, but it's ocean, just to add contrasting color with those little plus marks. I was trying to kind of make those papers become a little bit more cohesive or blend together or look purposeful maybe, by adding some paint on top of my first layer here. Because I used so much matte medium, it's still pretty damp here. I tried to make these circles originally with the graphite. It didn't work, so I grabbed the black Stabilo and made circles. Then I wanted to kind of blend these pages a little bit more together, push them back, and added some gesso with my fingers. So next my idea was kind of to do some reductive stenciling. I grabbed the night paint and a couple little stencil insides from one of Dina's stencils. There are two leaves, an oak leaf and I don't know the other leaf. It's a ginkgo leaf or some other kind. I don't think it's a ginkgo. I don't know. It's maybe birch. I don't know. Someone can tell me in the comments below what other leaf that is. And so I just tried to fill this page with the silhouettes of the leaves, and I grabbed my paintbrush with a night to fill in between where the paint didn't work. Then I didn't like what I did. For some reason, this just wasn't settling with me. As I was working on this, I was thinking, man, I just do not like this. I don't know what to do. I was stressed and worried, thinking about the fact that Laura and Erin were depending on me to create a really good journal page, and so I just began to rip the pages off. That matte medium was still really wet and they weren't completely stuck to the pages, so I just started the process of ripping whatever would come off the page. As you can see, I'm still ripping here as I add some gesso. Next, I grabbed one of the required elements, the bubble wrap, to add some interest and texture to that gesso that I've been laying down. So we all decided to use the Scribbly Bird Stencils by Dina, and so I'm gessoing two of her loose sheets of watercolor paper. One I'm going to stamp the scribbly birds on, and another you're going to see in a minute what I'm going to do with it. So I grabbed my black archival ink and stamped all 4 of the scribbly bird stamps on that gessoed watercolor paper. So this is actually the next day after I had ripped all of those papers off of my journal page. I went to bed that night just thinking about what in the heck, where am I gonna go? I actually really liked how my background had turned out after I ripped those journal pages up, and I kind of wanted, or journal papers off, and I kind of wanted to pay tribute to those so you could still see them. And we also had to add an interactive cut element, and I really couldn't cut the page because there was already a journal page on the other side. So I decided to cut this Dina Wakley watercolor paper in the shape of branches for my birds to sit on. I got 4 of her inks. I don't think I ended up using the penny, but I started with umber to paint the branches, added some of that Sedona, and then added some bits of navy, and you'll see how these colors begin to come together to create some fall, wintry kind of looking branches. Our theme was fall, but I think my page kind of ended up looking a little bit more wintry than fall. I'm going to attribute that to the fact that it was snowing in the Midwest when I started this. Unprecedented early snow up in Minnesota and Iowa, where I'm from. So even though this is supposed to be fall in the Midwest, it's not fall anymore. They have snow in their trees. So I'm going to go with the theme here that it is currently fall in the Midwest, and this is what the trees look like, more wintry than fall. And so I'm just layering the colors here. I'm kind of watering down the acrylic. Wanted them to look a little watercolory. If you've watched several of my videos, you'll know that this is something I really enjoy, specifically with Dina's paints, that they can be watered down and still keep that same color, but yet look a little bit more watercolory. They don't tend to break down with water that other paints do. And so I'm layering the colors here. I end up concentrating a little bit on the edges to make them a little darker so that the branches don't look flat. They're going to start looking a little bit more dimensional and curved as I add some of that shading and dark color to the edges. I'm kind of combining the Sedona and the umber here to make a kind of a mid-tone brown, and then also adding little bits of the Sedona not mixed with umber. So here's where I grab that night and just add a teeny bit of night different places, and it really adds kind of that wintry look, kind of brings that purple into the branches that we're supposed to be using. I wouldn't have thought that this would have worked as well as it did, but I absolutely love what the night did when I added it to these branches. So I'm just finishing up some final touches of these branches, and I'm going to set them aside and let them dry really well. While the branches are drying, it's time to paint in the birds. So one of the supplies that we were required to use was acrylic ink. Normally I probably would have grabbed my normal acrylic paint or watercolors or something that I use all the time to paint in these birds. I don't grab my acrylic ink often enough, so I'm really glad. I think it was Laura that added the acrylic ink as a requirement, and so I really enjoyed using a medium that I've used before, but I just don't grab it often enough. So I decided to color in these birds with the acrylic ink. For some reason, I didn't really have a true orange. I grabbed all of the clearance ones at Hobby Lobby, like I'm sure many of you did. And for some reason, either I didn't see the orange in my drawer or I didn't grab an orange. So I'm using, I don't know the names off the top of my head as I do this, but that kind of darker color, kind of the clay pot kind of color, and then a mustardy kind of color to try to blend them together. I decided to make bluebirds here, and bluebirds front breasts are orange, kind of a rusty orange, so I'm kind of trying to create that. I didn't want it to be true to life. I still wanted it to look in my kind of mixed media blendy style, so wasn't really going for a painterly look here. I wanted it to kind of be muddled and fun and playful, and so I'm layering those two colors to create the rust and the orange, and then I also grabbed the fluorescent orange ink to add a little brightness to that front. And next I'm starting to layer the blue. I had several colors of blue. I don't know which one I ended up using here. I'll try to put the colors down below, but in all honesty, it doesn't really matter what colors you choose. You just need to try to layer the colors you have to create the look that you want. I didn't have the colors that really bluebirds were, but being able to combine the blue here with a little brown, the two different colors of rust and mustard, and then the fluorescent orange. And then I do add a little bit of white too. And so using all of those colors, I was able to create my little bluebirds. I decided the blue was getting a little too dark and grabbed a baby wipe to kind of dab some of it off, which ended up to be a really happy accident because I like the muddled effect that baby wipe kind of created by wiping that blue away. So if you're using acrylic ink, highly recommend grabbing a baby wipe to wipe some of it away. This was kind of a longer process of just layering, letting dry, so that the colors didn't blend together and create green or mud or something funny. Layering the light blue, the dark blue, splattering to get that watercolor loose kind of splattery feel to the birds. Again, I didn't want them to be overly painterly, wanted them to be kind of free and fun. And as I was doing this, I was kind of thinking, why am I doing bluebirds? What's the purpose of my page? I like to kind of have a meaning to my journal pages. And then I had remembered actually that this summer we had 4 bluebirds in one of our trees. We had a nest of 4 bluebirds. They jumped out of the nest. It was actually in a hole in a tree, which is kind of funny. They built in this little hole and the bluebird heads would stick out of the hole once they were getting ready to leave the nest, and they actually jumped and left the nest way too early. So we had 4 little baby bluebirds in our grass hopping around, not able to fly, not knowing what to do. My husband helped rescue them with a towel and put them back into the tree. So I was kind of thinking that these 4 bluebirds were like the little ones that we had in our tree this summer. My husband named 2 of them. One of them Rowdy because he jumped early, and then Rebel because he was rebellious. But yeah, we just had fun with those little bluebirds. So these 4 little cuties are a reminder of those 4 birds that were in our tree. They actually did officially leave the nest a day later and fly off. I got to see a couple of them fly off. So thankfully we were able to rescue them and put them back into their little hole on our tree until they were officially ready to fly off. So I'm just continuing again to layer these colors here, added some of that fluorescent orange to flick on, and now I'm going to shade a little bit with some of this brown color to tone down the blue and add some of that shadowing. And adding that brown just was the final touch that these little birdies needed. So now that the branches are dry, I'm going to cut them out. And as I'm cutting them out, I realized that they were a lot flimsier than I had planned for them to be. And so after I cut them out and I cut the birds out next, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do because these are going to be interactive on my journal page and I didn't want them so flimsy. So I decided to back them with another color of cardstock. So I grabbed a brown cardstock and a blue cardstock and adhere the branches and the birds to those with the matte medium. Once they're dry, it took a little bit for them to dry completely because I did the matte medium on the front and the back. I wanted to create a really solid surface because again, you'll see that these are going to be interactive on my journal page. Once they completely dry, I cut them out. You probably could have cut them all out at once had you realized that you're going to need to stick them down, but actually I like the effect that putting the birds and the branches on top of the cardstock created because I got a tiny little border of brown and blue around the around the birds and around the trees, and it actually created a really fun little effect to them. So now I'm wanting to kind of tone down that white a little bit. It was a little stark, probably looking a little too wintry. Also, I wanted to bring those little dots that I had created with the bubble wrap out. So I thought if I made my little Stabilo puddle here, scribbling the Stabilo on, adding a little water to my palette paper to create, it's kind of a watercolory, inky, it really reminds me of watercolor effect. And just use my brush and put that over the page. One, to tone down that white, and second, to start bringing out some of those spots. You'll see that the Stabilo will rest in the little crevices and around the dots, and you'll see the effect that adding those little bubble wrap dots created on my pages. So the branches and the birds are finally dry. I'm going to cut them all out to get them ready for my pages. So I included this bingo card as one of the items we needed to use on our pages, and I actually rescued all of the torn pages that were in my trash can. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see a little post about it. After I was mad at my page and I ignored all of what I thought were ugly pieces in my trash can, I looked at it the next day and realized how beautiful these torn pieces were. I don't know that I could have created such beautiful little bits on purpose. It was more of really a happy accident in the end that I ended up hating my page. But I don't know, there's something about these little bits that are just gorgeous to me. The ones that are ripped on the page, and here, the ones that I'm putting on this bingo card. And so I'm trying to use up the other items that I had included in the little ephemera drop-off. This little pumpkin doily, the bingo card, and you'll see the other items and how I use them in a minute. So I'm creating a little tip-in card here, another interactive piece that I'm going to put on my page, layering this doily and the little bits that I had rescued from my trash can. I posted on Facebook about how there's beauty in the broken, and when we realize some things don't always go our way, but sometimes it's actually beautiful in the end. There's a reason for the brokenness or a reason for the pain, and this page just really reminded me of that, as I was really, really not happy about what I was creating in the beginning. I was really fretting. I feel like my creativity was zapped, so I'm thankful that ripping these pages off sparked something fun and exciting in me to create. This was one of my favorite pieces that I ripped off, so I put that front and center on the back of my tip-in. I also wanted to make this bingo card blend in with the background that I had already created, so I decided to grab that gesso and just rub a little bit to make these little ripped pieces blend in a little bit more with the bingo card and my back page, and also bring that effect of the gesso to my tip-in. So I'm going to not only spread the gesso on this tip-in, I'm also going to add the little spots with the gesso and the bubble wrap. And as you'll see, I did the same thing on the back side of the bingo card. So now that the bingo card is completely dry, I'm creating my little tip-in or little door flap on my journal page. Our requirement, I think I mentioned in the beginning, was that we had to either cut the page or make some kind of interactive element. So here I'm creating an interactive little door that I'm going to hide a little treasure behind. I might be cheating with what I'm doing here to use all of my ingredients, but I thought it was pretty ingenious in the end. So I'm creating my little door, and behind this door I'm going to put the little glycine, I think that's how you say it, envelope. I'm putting my extra bird that I didn't put, that I won't use, in the envelope, the little extra trinkets that I included, and this is going to be a little treasure behind the door. I find that when I create my journal pages, my inspiration comes from several places and it combines into one piece. So it's oftentimes something from the past, something I'm learning. Lots of times it's what I've learned in creating the page, events that are going on with me or the world or anything. And this inspiration for this little hidden treasure, as you see with the sticker there, came from reading actually To Kill a Mockingbird. I think I read it in junior high. I remembered how the character oh my goodness, I cannot remember his name. I remembered it when I was creating this. I think it's the pressure of voiceovers, but the character that lived alone in his home and that was trying to make friends with the little kids left treasures in a tree, in a little hole in the tree. So as I was thinking about the bluebirds at the hole in my tree and these little trinkets that I had left over, I thought about To Kill a Mockingbird and the little hidden treasures that were left in the tree. And so it kind of came together. I think it's always fun to see where you draw inspiration from the past, from reading a book, from things that have happened in your life, from things that are going on today, and how it all comes together to kind of create a story or to create a moment in time, bringing past and present and future and lessons together. So it's my little To Kill a Mockingbird inspired hidden treasure with my little bluebirds from the bluebirds we had in our tree this summer, and then laying in bed despising not liking my page and ripping the pages off and trying to figure out how in the heck I was going to recover to use these birds, make it interactive, make some cutouts, get all the requirements together for this page. I just love the fact that Erin, Laura, and I are coming together with different ideas that we present. We put a little spreadsheet together with what we have to use, and it's really pushing all of us to create differently with supplies we don't have, supplies we don't pull out, to think outside of the box. And so here I added those little branches to my front of my journal page and added the little birds. I used the super heavy gel from Dina Wakley because these were heavy. I folded the branches a little bit to create the flap and added them with that super heavy gel medium, added the birds with the same medium, and then I decided I needed to add some little fall leaves to my branches, so I grabbed some more of those pages or pieces of paper out of my trash can and cut some little leaf shapes, and I'm sticking them to my page with matte medium. Then I wanted to add a little fun message, and I had looked through those clipping stickers from Tim Holtz and I happened to find this really cool one about the purple sky and about flying away, and it just came together absolutely perfectly. So I put these little stickers on the front page that says, "If they were let to fly away beyond the purple sky," and it is just, I don't know, the icing on the journal page. I love the little saying that I found. It's amazing when you look through those little newspaper clippings, what cute little things you'll find. So in just a minute, my memory card in my camera runs out, and I didn't realize it. I actually added the little envelope with the Dina Wakley gel medium, and I added a little saying here, "Use your wings," and I painted it a little bit with the purple, and that didn't get recorded, but not very hard to do. Just add these under your little door flap here. I love the little "Use your wings." I kind of was thinking that this little envelope was the bird and the ingredients to make wings to fly, the little treasure, the hidden treasure. And so I really hope you enjoyed seeing my recovery process to go from an ugly page to a fun, can't believe I created this page. It was so much fun to create. I love the little interactive element, the branches flipping, the little door opening, and the hidden treasure underneath. I want to thank you guys so much for following along on our second Mixed Media Menagerie challenge. Thank Erin and Laura so much for going along with this and having fun. I cannot wait to see both of your journal pages and how you interpreted this month. I also want to invite you, our viewers, to play along with us. Grab our list in the beginning, grab the colors, grab the supplies you have, grab similar ephemera and see what you can come up using purple and fall and interactive and cutout, and even have to recover from an ugly page like I did. I wish you all the best this fall season. I look forward to coming back in November with our November edition of Mixed Media Menagerie. If you attempt this, be sure to hashtag it on Instagram so we can find your beautiful journal page. Thank you again so much for watching. I love all your comments, your likes, your comments on Instagram, and thank you for your support of my page. I hope you have a wonderful fall, and that if you have snow, it's melted by now, and that you're enjoying your beautiful fall leaves, your purple autumn skies, and the ushering in of our next thankful season this year. Thank you again so much. I'd love for you to play along with us.